Elizabeth walked into Jung's Zurich practice with a confession that would become the foundation of everything we're about to explore. I've been single for 12 years, not because I haven't tried. God knows I've tried everything. Therapy to heal my childhood, journaling, dating apps, everything. But something happens every single time. Every single time. Jung leaned forward. Tell me, if someone is emotionally available, genuinely present, stable, I feel suffocated. I find flaws. I create distance. I convince myself they're not right for me. But if they're unavailable, if they're married, emotionally shut down, clearly wrong for me, I become obsessed. I chase them. I convince myself I can fix them. I convince myself they'll change. She looked at Jung, tears streaming down her face now. What's wrong with me? Why can't I want what's good for me? And Jung said something she would never forget. Nothing is wrong with you. You're being broken. And this breaking is necessary. What Jung was seeing what Elizabeth couldn't yet see was this. She'd built her entire identity around being ready for love. She was the healed woman, the emotionally aware woman, the woman who'd done the work. She presented this identity to the world like a carefully constructed mask. And underneath, a woman terrified of true vulnerability, convinced she was fundamentally unlovable, using perfectionism as armor. The false self doesn't attract real love. It attracts nothing real at all. Maybe you know exactly what I'm about to tell you. Maybe you've lived it. You're beautiful. You're accomplished. You've done the work, all of it. Therapy, self-help books. You know your patterns inside and out. And yet, every time something promising comes along, it crumbles the same way. You push them away, or you chase someone who's completely wrong for you. Over and over. The same story, different person. And you're starting to wonder, what's wrong with me? If that resonates, if you've felt that confusion, that frustration, you're not alone. And this video is for you. Drop a comment if you recognize yourself in this. I want to know I'm not just talking into the void. Here's what a woman named Elizabeth discovered in Carl Jung's office in 1925 after 12 years of the exact same heartbreak, and it changed everything. Nothing is wrong with you. You're incomplete, and the universe won't send you real love until you complete specific psychological work. Because here's the brutal truth. If love arrived right now, you'd destroy it with the very patterns you haven't faced yet. Here's what the universe does. It breaks you. It makes your false self stop working. All the performance, all the polish, all the carefully curated readiness, it stops working because it was never real to begin with. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Dr. Sue Johnson's research on attachment shows that people like Elizabeth who've done extensive self-work but are still stuck often build what researchers call contingent self-worth. Their value depends on being perfect, healed, ready. It's just another defense mechanism wearing a different mask. The breaking manifests in specific ways. You attract the same pattern repeatedly until you're forced to admit it's not about finding the right person. It's about why you keep choosing the wrong person. Elizabeth had dated 7 unavailable men in 12 years. 7. And each time she believed, this time will be different. This time, they'll change for me. The loneliness intensifies precisely when you should be ready. Elizabeth felt most alone after completing therapy, after finishing all the work, because the false self expects a reward. But there is no reward for performance, only recognition, and recognition means being truly seen. When the false self shatters, when the performance stops working, that's when you feel it. The urge to push away available people, the magnetic pull toward unavailable ones. This isn't self-sabotage. This is your psyche's refusal to let the false self claim a real relationship. And in that moment, in that confusion, you're finally ready for what comes next. By their 4th month together, Jung asked Elizabeth a question that would reshape how she understood every relationship she'd ever had. Tell me about every man you've been obsessed with. Describe them, their qualities, what drew you in." Elizabeth paused, then began listing them. The most recent? Strong, decisive, unshakable. He knew exactly what he wanted and didn't apologize for it. When he walked into a room, everyone noticed. He had this presence. And before him, similar, incredibly independent. He needed no one. Had this emotional distance that felt like strength, certain about everything. And before that, the same pattern. Strong, decisive, distant, independent, certain, present. Jung leaned forward and asked the question that landed like a punch. "And how would you describe yourself, Elizabeth?" The realization hit her like cold water. "I'm uncertain. I second-guess everything. I apologize constantly. I make myself small in rooms. I'm terrified of needing people." Her eyes widened. "I'm attracted to my opposite." And Jung said gently, "No, you're attracted to your reflection. That strength, that decisiveness, that presence, those aren't lacking in you. They're buried. And instead of integrating them, you've been projecting them onto men, then becoming obsessed with your own projection." She started seeing it everywhere. The strong, decisive man reflected the strength she'd buried because in her family assertiveness was called aggressive. The emotionally distant man reflected her own terror of intimacy, which she couldn't admit to herself, so she chose someone who maintained that distance for her. The fiercely independent man reflected the independence she craved, but had buried under decades of being accommodating. And she said something that broke her open. "I've never loved them. I've been loving parts of myself I wouldn't claim." This is what Jung called the mirror phase. Your attractions aren't about the other person. They're encounters with your own disowned self. The parts of you that you rejected, that society told you were wrong, that you learned to bury. Research on projection shows that we're attracted to people who reflect our imago, the composite image of our caregiver's traits, plus our own disowned qualities. We mistake this for chemistry. We call it fate. But it's actually psychological recognition. We're recognizing ourselves. If you just recognized a pattern you've been living, this is the moment to acknowledge it. Comment which qualities you've been projecting. Naming it is the first step to owning it. And every time Elizabeth tried to change these men, to make them more available, more communicative, more vulnerable, she was actually trying to destroy the very qualities that attracted her. Because those qualities were hers, she was trying to change them into her. Here's what she realized. I grew up in a family where feminine meant soft, accommodating, yielding. Assertiveness was bossy. Decisiveness was unfeminine. Strength made you unlovable. So she buried all of it. And then she spent years chasing men who embodied exactly what she'd rejected in herself. Even the legendary diarist Anais Nin lived this pattern. She married a stable, gentle banker Hugo for security, while having passionate affairs with unavailable artists like Henry Miller. She wrote in her diary, "Hugo represents security, the world's approval, but I'm alive only with the unavailable ones." She never integrated both sides. She split herself between them. She never felt whole with anyone because she was never whole within herself. Over the following weeks, Elizabeth began what Jung called the integration work. First, she identified exactly what she'd been projecting. She wrote the list: strength, decisiveness, emotional boundaries, independence, certainty, presence. Then, she wrote the next list, and this one terrified her. I am strong. I am decisive. I maintain healthy boundaries. I am independent. I am certain. I have presence. Each sentence felt like a lie. That's exactly how she knew she'd found the disowned parts. Then came the hardest part. Instead of seeking these qualities in men, she practiced embodying them herself. She made strong decisions without apologizing. She maintained her own boundaries. Instead of being drawn to distant men, she trusted her own knowing instead of seeking certainty in others. This work was excruciating. If I become strong and decisive, Will anyone love me? I feel like I have to choose, be myself or be loved. And Jung challenged this directly. That's the false choice your false self created. Real love is only possible when you're fully yourself. The performed, accommodating version of you attracts performed relationships. The real, integrated you attracts real love. By month 9, something shifted. Elizabeth came into Jung's office, hands trembling. I met someone, genuinely compatible, emotionally available, interested, aligned with my values. For the first time in 12 years, there are no red flags, no distance, no unavailability. Jung waited. And all I feel is panic. I should be happy. This is what I've wanted for 12 years, but I'm finding reasons to end it. He texts too much. He's too eager. Something feels off, but I can't name what. And Jung said, your shadow is rising, and it's fighting for its survival. Does this hit different if you're currently sabotaging something good? If you're finding reasons to end it, comment below. You might not be self-sabotaging. You might be facing your shadow for the first time. This is what Jung called the resistance phase. It's when your unconscious patterns fight back against change, not through obvious self-sabotage, but through subtle, deeply justified resistance that feels exactly like intuition. Your shadow contains everything you've rejected about yourself. For Elizabeth, it held her deepest terror, being truly seen, the conviction that she was unlovable, the attachment to suffering as her identity. Real love threatened to destroy all these carefully constructed defenses. So the shadow fought back. Here's what neuroscience shows us. Our nervous system identifies safety based on familiarity, not actual safety. Elizabeth's body had been conditioned to recognize unavailability as safe and availability as dangerous. When she met someone genuinely available, her nervous system interpreted this as a threat, anxiety, hypervigilance, the urge to flee, all of it masquerading as something feels off. Jung made her examine her justifications. He texts too much. He asked, what are you actually afraid of? That if he keeps showing interest, I'll have to be vulnerable, and if I'm vulnerable, he'll see the real me and leave. He's too eager. What does that mean? He wants me, which means there must be something wrong with him. Anyone who truly wants me must be flawed. Something feels off. Is this feeling calm and clear, or urgent and panicked? Elizabeth admitted, urgent and panicked. That's not intuition, Jung said. That's fear disguised as wisdom. Real intuition feels calm and certain. Fear feels urgent and scattered. The shadow's most sophisticated defense was using Elizabeth's own self-awareness against her. I've done all this work. I know what healthy looks like, and this doesn't feel right. So I should trust my intuition. But it wasn't intuition. It was terror wearing the mask of wisdom. Jung gave her the hardest practice of all. Stay anyway. When every instinct screams, run, stay. Not forever. Just long enough to recognize that the fear won't kill you. Your shadow believes vulnerability equals annihilation. Prove it wrong by surviving it. Weeks passed. The panic continued, but Elizabeth stayed. During a moment of intimacy, she felt the familiar urge to pull away, to create distance, to find an escape. This time, she didn't. She let him see her cry about something vulnerable. And he didn't leave. He stayed. In session, Jung nodded with quiet recognition. Your shadow just learned that vulnerability doesn't equal death. This is how integration happens, not through understanding, but through embodied experience that proves the shadow wrong. Research confirms this. Unconscious patterns change not through insight alone, but through visceral experiences that contradict the pattern's core belief. Elizabeth's shadow had predicted, if he sees you crying, he'll leave. He stayed. Pattern disrupted. But Jung warned her, the shadow doesn't die from one experience. It will test you again. Each time you must stay and prove it wrong again. The shadow sabotages love to protect you from the vulnerability love requires. Because for the shadow, Vulnerability feels like death. By month 12, Elizabeth walked into Jung's office, almost unrecognizable to herself. "I don't know who I am anymore," she said. "The old me, the one who chased unavailable men, who performed being healed, who needed to prove she was lovable. She's gone, but I don't know what's left." Jung smiled. "Welcome to the restructuring. This is where real transformation begins. This is the individuation phase, becoming your authentic self, not the self society constructed, not the self trauma created, not the self you perform for approval or love, the actual self beneath all the conditioning." For Elizabeth, this meant dismantling every identity she'd built over 38 years. She'd been the good daughter, the one who accommodated everyone, who managed everyone's emotions but her own. That identity dissolved when she set a boundary with her family. She said no to a visit. She refused to manage her mother's emotions. Her mother called, shocked. "You're so different now. Cold, distant." The old Elizabeth would have apologized, backpedaled, resumed, accommodating. This Elizabeth said, "I'm not cold, I'm boundaried. That feels cold because you're used to my compliance." She'd been the healed woman who'd done all the work. That identity dissolved when she admitted in session, "I'm not healed. I'm still wounded. I'm still scared. I'm still imperfect. And I'm exhausted from pretending otherwise." Jung smiled. "Healing isn't becoming perfect. It's becoming real. You've just become more real." She'd been the accommodating partner in every relationship. That identity dissolved when she told the man she was dating, "I need alone time. I need to maintain my friendships. I need to pursue my work without apologizing. And if that's too much for you, then this won't work." He didn't leave. He said, "Thank you for telling me what you actually need." This restructuring is brutal because it requires releasing every identity you've used for safety, approval, or love. You have to let them all go. Over the following months, Elizabeth rebuilt from the foundation. Jung gave her a practice. For 1 month, make every small decision based on what you actually want, not what you think you should want, or what would please others. What do you want for breakfast? What music do you want to listen to? What do you want to wear? Elizabeth found this excruciating. "I don't know what I want. I've never asked." "Then discover it," Jung said. "Choose something. See if it feels right. Choose differently tomorrow. This is how you meet yourself." Patterns emerged. She actually liked mornings alone, preferred bold colors over neutral ones, enjoyed solitude more than constant social plans, wanted focused work time more than people-pleasing. These feel selfish. They feel unfamiliar. "You're meeting the real Elizabeth," Jung said. "She's been buried under 38 years of performing what others wanted." By month 14, she started the business she dreamed about for years, Decisiveness Integrated. She traveled alone to a place she'd always wanted to visit, Independence Integrated. She spoke up in meetings without apologizing, Strength Integrated. "I feel like I'm becoming someone I don't recognize." "You're becoming someone you've never been allowed to be," Jung replied. "The woman who's both soft and strong, vulnerable and boundaried, accommodating when she chooses, assertive when needed. That's integration." Research on differentiation in relationships by Dr. David Schnark shows that people who can maintain their full self while in relationship report the highest satisfaction. But achieving that requires this painful restructuring. By month 16, Elizabeth had become almost unrecognizable even to those closest to her. Her mother, "I don't know you anymore." Elizabeth, "I'm learning to know myself. That's more important than you knowing me." Her friend, "You've gotten so serious about your boundaries." Elizabeth, "I'm not performing fun anymore. I'm being real." The man she was dating, "I feel like I'm meeting the real you for the first time." Elizabeth, "You are. I'm meeting her too." Jung observed her transformation with satisfaction. You've stopped performing lovability. You've started being yourself. This is the only foundation on which real love can build. False identities attract false relationships. You must restructure your entire self before true love becomes possible. Month 18. Elizabeth's final session with Jung. I think I'm done searching for love. Not in a bitter way, not giving up. But I genuinely don't need it anymore. Jung leaned back, satisfied. For 12 years, I've oriented my entire life around finding partnership. And now, I'm complete as I am. If love comes, wonderful. If not, I'm still whole. And Jung said, now you're ready. This is the paradox phase, the moment when you must release the very thing you've been seeking before you can receive it. Not through forced detachment or spiritual bypassing, but through genuine completion. Elizabeth had spent 12 years believing, I'll be complete when I find love. Jung's work revealed the truth. You'll find love when you're complete. The surrender isn't giving up on love. It's releasing love as the condition for wholeness. It's the difference between these two states. Before surrender, love is the missing piece. Partnership will complete you. Being chosen validates your worth. After surrender, you are already whole. Partnership is sharing wholeness. Your worth is inherent. And Elizabeth's surrender manifested in practical ways. She stopped checking dating apps compulsively, not from hopelessness, but from genuine disinterest. I'm living my life. If someone fits, they'll fit. If not, I'm still living. She stopped analyzing every interaction. Is this going somewhere? Became irrelevant. She was present with what was, not obsessed with what might be. She stopped performing in the relationship. No more strategic texting. No calculated responses. No managed image. This is who I am. If that works for you, great. If not, we're incompatible. She stopped making love the center of her life. Her work mattered. Her friendships mattered. Her creative pursuits mattered. Love would be one beautiful part of a full life, not the organizing principle of it. The man she'd been dating noticed immediately. Something shifted in you. You're more here, less anxious. I feel like I'm finally meeting you. And Elizabeth realized something profound. When I stopped needing him to complete me, I could actually see him, not as the savior, not as the disappointment, but as a person. And for the first time, I could let him see me. 3 months later, Elizabeth wrote Jung a letter. Dear Jung, I'm writing to tell you I'm getting married. Not from need, not from fear of being alone, not from proving I was lovable. From choice. I chose him from wholeness, not from lack. And the relationship is unlike anything I imagined. There's no performance, no rescuing, no projecting. Just two complete people choosing to share lives. For 12 years, I tried to find love. What I needed was to find myself. And ironically, the moment I found myself, love found me. Because real love can only find real people. And I had to become real first. Thank you for showing me that I had to become whole before I could share wholeness. Jung documented Elizabeth's journey as proof that 5 specific phases must be completed before genuine love becomes possible. Phase 1. The breaking. Recognizing your false self can't sustain real love, so it must shatter. Stop performing readiness. Get brutally honest about who you actually are beneath the persona. Phase 2. The mirror. Seeing that you've been projecting disowned parts onto others, mistaking projection for love. Identify what you're projecting. Integrate those qualities into yourself instead of seeking them in others. Phase 3. The resistance confronting the shadow that sabotages love to protect you from vulnerability. Name your shadow's fears. Stay when every instinct screams to run. Prove your shadow wrong through lived experience. Phase 4. The restructuring. Dismantling false identities and building an integrated, authentic self. Rebuild from foundation. Discover your actual desires. Establish genuine boundaries. Integrate the disowned parts. Phase 5. The surrender. Releasing love as the condition for completeness. Become whole first. Live fully from that wholeness. Love becomes possibility, not necessity. Most people never complete even one phase. They stay stuck in the breaking, blaming others for their loneliness. Some completed this work. Jung's own marriage transformed after his integration work. He and Emma both became Jungian analysts. They remained together until her death, both fully individuated. Some didn't complete the work. Sylvia Plath chose intensity over integration. The relationship ended in tragedy. Marilyn Monroe sought completion in men. She died believing she was unlovable, despite being desired by millions. Some completed the work late. Anais Nin eventually integrated both sides in her 60s, finally able to write, "I am both wild and domestic, and I no longer need to split them between different men. The difference isn't luck. It's work." If you're being broken by repeated heartbreak, you're in phase 1. The work is stop performing readiness. Get real about who you actually are. If you keep choosing the same unavailable pattern, you're stuck in phase 2. The work is identify what you're projecting. Integrate those qualities instead of seeking them in others. If you sabotage promising relationships for reasons you can't articulate, you're in phase 3. The work is name your shadow's fears. Stay. Prove it wrong through embodied experience. If you don't know who you are anymore, you're in phase 4. The work is rebuild from foundation. Discover authentic desires. Establish genuine boundaries. Integrate disowned parts. If you're complete as you are, you're in phase 5. The work is live fully from this wholeness. Let love become possibility, not necessity. Which phase are you in right now? Not the one you wish you were in. The one you're actually living. Comment it. Even just the number. Because somewhere in this comment section, someone's going to read your number and realize they're not alone in phase 3, or phase 1, or phase 5. And that recognition? That's where the real work begins. Jung's final wisdom captured everything. He told Elizabeth, "You spent 12 years trying to find love. What you needed was to find yourself. And ironically, the moment you found yourself, love found you. Because real love can only find real people. And you had to become real first." Here's what the universe actually does. It breaks you to make you real. It breaks the false self so the true self can emerge. It breaks the performance so authenticity can breathe. It breaks the need so choice becomes possible. And when you're finally broken open, restructured, integrated, and complete, that's when love recognizes you. Not because you've earned it through suffering, but because you've become capable of receiving it without destroying it. If you're in this process right now, know this: you're not alone. Millions of souls are being broken and rebuilt right now. The pain isn't punishment. It's preparation for love you're finally becoming ready to sustain. If this message found you at exactly the right moment, share it. A like tells the algorithm that people need this. But sharing it with someone you love who's struggling, that's how Jung's wisdom reaches the people who are ready to hear it. The breaking isn't the end. It's the beginning of becoming who you were always meant to be. Whole, real, finally ready for love that matches your truth. Subscribe for more on Jung, psychology, and the real work of becoming yourself. Because understanding these 5 phases, that's just the beginning. The real journey happens when you start living them. And if you're ready to go deeper into this work, stick around. The next video goes into the patterns that keep people trapped in phase 2. You won't want to miss it.